Thanks for having me here. My name is Joshua Millsaps, and I'm a senior partner at Millsaps Ballinger Associates. Over the past several years, I've been involved in the safety and security assessment of more than 200 schools in 23 states. Over the course of this time, I've become convinced that as a country, we are generally missing the opportunity to make data-driven decisions about safety and security, despite the rise in the use of information to support almost every other aspect of our nation's education and measurement of academic performance. This lack of information persists despite the widely held belief that safer schools are higher performing schools. We recognize schools have limited budgets, and we developed our technology on the Salesforce.com platform in order to provide a service that can securely deliver and manage assessments and be capable of scaling to handle every school in the nation. Doing it on this scale has enabled us to offer the base 229 question assessment recently used by Loudoun County Public Schools in Virginia for somewhere around 36 cents per student per year for Washington, D.C. The approach we took in Loudoun County illustrates the value of asking standardized questions that reflect security and safety best practices across an entire portfolio of schools. The information collected enabled us to identify opportunities for improvement, but the technology enables much more, including enabling safety and security organizations to address issues in real time, collaborate to understand emerging issues, execute workflows, and share best practices.
So here's part of our challenge, and that is we have, at last count, we have 61 what are called local education agencies, one of our largest of which is DCPS, and then we have 60 charter schools, some of which have multiple schools and at times in multiple campuses. The charter schools are very committed to their autonomy, to put it mildly. And so any effort, and I respect it and welcome that autonomy as it relates to academics, but there are some issues that are of paramount public safety concern where we concede a little authority for purposes of efficiency and efficacy. How would you, if you were looking, and not suggesting that we would hire you, I don't want to put a thumb on the scale here, but you do appear to be the only witness that has experience in this. How would you bring the various actors together? I mean, how did you do that in Loudoun County to make sure that these things which might touch on different areas of responsibility are brought together for purposes of integration and a successful school safety regime?
Well, I think you hit on a key issue, and that ability to collaborate and coordinate across different organizations, where there may be a requirement for some of those organizations to maintain the privacy of their data, but there's a need for collaboration across groups. That's still a work in progress in Loudoun. The model that we've been working towards is to work with Loudoun County Sheriff Department to be able to share the centralized repository that's been developed so that they can make use of the information that is being developed within the schools across those organizations, but maintain privacy where required. So the idea is to facilitate the coordination and collaboration while maintaining the security of the data in areas where there may be a concern.
Your recommendations are on the environmental side of security. How do you couple the non-building environmental security issues, whether it be passage to school, whether it be activity happening to kids on the way, and whether it be bullying in the school, which I don't know is addressed here?
Well, I think again, it's a critical issue, and one of the things that we've done within the tool set in recognition of that is that there is so little on the assessment side around the environmental factors. But what you need to be able to do is look at what's actually happening in real time. And so that's why we've tied in incident management and some of these other capabilities so that you can actually see, I'm having vandalism here. Is it because I have issues with regard to lighting or surveillance or one of these other categories that's environmental that is causing an increase in certain types of activities or behaviors that we're trying to reduce? And so by coupling that in real time, so as those incidents occur, the school is able to look at the situation that they have on the ground, look at their assessment and go, there's a correlation here. We're having this type of problem, and we have these types of environmental factors. And so you're able to tie those together and make those decisions on the fly.
And I think reporting becomes more difficult if you, for instance, don't have school resource officers assigned to elementary schools. How do you have consistent reporting, and how do you know what's going on?
Well, that in particular is something that in Loudoun County, the way that we've discussed handling that is working with having the high schools that feed in, the elementary and middle schools that feed into those high schools, having those school resource officers coordinate across those schools, help manage some of the environmental information and incident information that's coming in. And then this is where the discussion with Loudoun County Sheriff's Office becomes so critical, because the idea there is to help support that level of audit and the transfer of best practices and the development of that professional level of and rigor to those assessments that you're having done on a regular basis. That's a part, that coordination, that's something that I don't think technology can solve. We can facilitate it, but that effort to coordinate has to be there.